Good morning, y'all. Time for another edition of Coffee and Cadillac. In a Cadillac. My Cadillac, specifically. I'm going to talk to you all about, this is actually, it came from a memory of when I was a kid, parking lot circuses, and just kind of general hustles and scams and bamboozlings in general. I'll get to the story in a minute, but it's funny. I found this song. I wrote it a while back, and at the time it was just kind of a funny story. I mean, I didn't really think about the metaphor of how we're kind of getting sold a bill of goods at any given time, even in our adult life. So anyway, nobody wants to get preached at by a lunatic in a Cadillac this time of the day. I'm going to ask you this though. I'm seeing a whole lot of hurling of insults on the old Facebook, and it's got me down. I mean, it really does. I know there's some legitimate issues need to get discussed, but hurling insults from either side of any argument is really not adding to a conversation. So here's my preaching and then I'm going to get on to the story and the song. But I'm going to ask you, if you would, I'm going to do it too, because I need it. I need it myself. When you're out and about this week, and you find yourself in a situation where you got a couple of minutes and you're waiting or whatever, put your phone down for a second. Not for too long, because if you do it for too long, they're going to think you're crazy and have you hauled off. But put your phone down for a second and just look around and look at the people around you and try to pick out the things that are alike, similar, the things that make us alike. We do a real good job of figuring out what makes us different and being suspicious of it, but this week, let's just try for a minute to define the things that are alike and maybe think twice before we start hurling insults at each other and shutting down conversations that actually really need to happen. But on to the parking lot circus. It's one of the biggest bamboozles of, all these roadside shows when we were younger. You had like the little fairs with the little rides and games and the various kind of bootleg circuses that set up in parking lots and whatnot. I was a kid. I was maybe 9 years old. We went to one of those. We just whined until my mother relented and took us to this crummy little, I don't know what you'd call it, like mini fair, I guess, happening in the parking lot of the TG&Y. Now, if y'all know my mother, she's a very, composed and well-witted lady. She's very well-spoken. She's not quick to anger. But she's half New York and half Mississippi. So if you ever get to the point where she's angry, it's a sight to behold best from a distance. So anyway, so we went to this little fair. Me and my brother, we didn't have a whole bunch of money. We wanted to do all the stuff, and my mother, knowing that it was all just a big scam, was just kind of like going along with it. Yeah. Well, this guy in the fair, he kind of pulls his hustle on me and my little brother. He wants us to go see this guy. He said, hey, he was running a game, one of those games you throw the darts at the balloons. And I said, go ask this guy for whatever, a plywood stretcher. I don't know what it was. The kind of stuff you do to a kid, So we went, and the guy cursed us out, and we went back and told him, and he ran us all around. And, of course, at some point, I ain't real smart, but I catch on eventually. We figured out we were getting hustled. Well, of course, you know what you do when you're a little boy, and hell, sometimes when you're a grown man, you run to your mother. So we went running to Mama crying. Well, she unloaded a bit of quiet, controlled verbal violence on this man that had him scared enough that he just skipped the game and handed us the prizes. And neither here nor there, but I guess my point being is that as a kid, I was just dying to give these people my money for this terrible, this is total bamboozle. My mother was smart enough to see, but also was going to humor us and let us do the thing. So anyway, we went to this happened. And it was a good lesson for me. I got most of my street sense from the old man, but Mom was no slouch either. And it was a good lesson to learn about getting bamboozled and also about not taking it off anybody, and she certainly will not. But so I found this old parking lot circus song, and I kind of rolled in it. We're farm to table here in the Cadillac, so I'd like to tell you the seed of truth that we take and we We fertilize it with manure, lots of manure, and it blossoms into a song. And sometimes they're all right, sometimes not so much. Depending on the day, I'll let you be the judge. But anyway, I had this little song about a parking lot circus, and I kind of rolled all these shows into one. So again, that's the manure on the seed of truth that, excuse me, produces the flower of song. So I'm just going to play it for you. This is called Parking Lot Circus, and I think it applies to a lot more things than parking lot circuses. They were pitching the big top at the TG&Y. I asked my mother if she knew why. She said it's a bunch of bums that got fired from the fair. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. There's a drunk on the high wire, the lines have the mange. The fellow in charge seems kind of deranged. Well, the roadies are all felons and the ponies have no hair. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. There's a freak show on the midway, there's a freak show in the stands. Everything about it makes you want to wash your hands. There's a motorcycle death cage, there's a meth-addled bear. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. There's a monkey on a tricycle smoking a cigar. There's a tiny little man in a tiny little car. There's a pub up, the clowns are all perverts. It's a tawdry affair. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. Polyester cotton candy and the popcorn has legs. There's something kind of milky in the pink lemonade. The hot dog stand smells like burnt hair. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. Well, the pickpockets and the hustlers, they all make the scene. The dancers are pretty, but they've all got VD. And the bearded lady and the seamstress are having an affair. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. It's a parking lot circus, nobody cares. It's a parking lot circus and nobody cares. That's all I got for today, y'all. Try to be nice to each other and let's concentrate on the things that make us alike, not different.